Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining us today on our Less Search, More Conversion webinar. Really appreciate everybody carving out time. I'm Bill Hustad. I'll be presenting today and talking a bit about where we are with search, some of the challenges we see in the market in search, and then some of those solutions that will help you get a little bit more leverage around search technology and really driving a good search experience for better results. My email address, bill@baynote. Please make a note of it. If there's any questions you have or other things you have that you think I can be help of, please don't hesitate to reach out. So we're going to cover a couple topics today. I think first is really around the struggle with site search. It's an ongoing challenge for many companies. I want to kind of review those big bucket items. And then we'll start to cover some tips and go through some use cases, really focused around some new thoughts around personalized search and leveraging information around your consumers to actually get that model and your KPIs moving in the right direction in that search experience. So jumping right in, relevancy is very important. I think a lot of the challenges we see today with search is past the point of trying to make sure that your index is capturing all your products, that you're able to actually index your content, your videos, your assets that you'd like to be discoverable during search. I think that's probably the old challenges. I think we're way past that. Now the question is where do those results show up? So in most cases, we're getting the right things indexed. Just are they in the right place? Are they showing up in the right context? Still concerned with challenges around return of investment. Lots of people supporting search, but is it tied to the metrics that are driving the business, and what are we getting out of that? The other is continued high search bounce rates. So yes, we're getting a search invoked, but are they actually continuing through the site and discovering products and content we have available? The challenge with relevancy actually is, did we find it, and where is it in the search results? What we know by a great report from the Atlas Group is that if it's not on the first page, if it's not in the top set of results, about half of the folks aren't even going to see it and not going to click on it. They're just going to continue to move on. What we know is about 95% of folks don't even paginate to the second page. So the importance of making sure that we have the right content, the right assets available during search and discovery, and then putting it in front of the right consumer at the right time is extremely important. And we can't forget the executive prerogative. I'm guilty of this myself, which is we go to the website, we search, and we make a very quick judgment of what we should see as executives in your organization. And you probably get these escalations very often of, hey, all search must be broken because I just searched for this. I expect to see these, and I don't see them. It's a challenge for us. So what's happening during the search? This is another great piece of data from the Baymard group. We do have this link at the end of the presentation. Encourage everybody to go check this out. Really good information talking about search. But these are the types of search that are happening across the site, all the way from exact products to non-product. So compatibility things, right? Do these items go with this when we show it in the results? Thematic search. Lots of good information here, and you can kind of see out of the top 50 sites in which are driving business and search, there's some varying degrees of support around these items. We're going to focus on a couple today and review kind of what that means and some impacts you can do around this. First is thematic. So the way to think about a thematic search is essentially a modifier, an adjective-based modifier to a topical noun. So usually the noun would be something you have on the site. It could be a product, it could be a piece of content, it could be an asset, and then a modifier. Things like big, large, small, popular, nice, all those different things would be modifiers for that. The next one is slang and symbols. You know, this is a really important one because when you start thinking about the terms in which your consumers call your products and use your products versus what you do, they're at odds a bit. Regionally, cooktops, for example, versus stovetops. Same thing, it just depends what region in the country you're from. It could also be misspelled words and commonly misspelled words, or symbols and abbreviations, both things that are very hard to stay on top of and require a lot of administration to do. And the last one is symptom-based, which is not referring to an asset, but referring to a problem that you may have assets that solve that problem. All very tough things to respond to in real time. We'll cover some examples and items around them. So tip number one, less search, more conversion. Really, to solve these problems, there's three things we'll cover. And this first one is about really stepping outside of the search problem itself and understanding how to truly value what you're doing in the search experience. And so what we talk to a lot of companies about is really conversion around the search modifiers. So when we're making changes in search, we want to make sure that it's driving towards the business goals. So if you're selling product, it could be product sales. If you're in a support area, it could be self-service, which is we want you to discover things on your own. That could be measured in terms of call deflection, so we're able to find things on the site and not actually call through expensive channels, all the way to marketing sites where we want people to register. We want to do a sales demo. We want to do these things. So aligning the search process, when somebody searches, how often are they converting into these things is an important metric for you to start thinking about. Two is leverage this real-time visitor context and behavior that you have available to you about every user that comes to the site. Now this is globally, regardless if you're selling product or content or in a supporting area, you have great information available to you at all times around this consumer that you can actually tailor and custom a personalized set of results. What products does this customer already own if they're in the support arena? Where are they actually accessing our information regionally? I'll tell you right now, in a sporting company that works with us, if I'm in Aspen, Colorado versus Los Angeles, California, and I search for board, I actually will see different things based on regionally where I am, based on the time of the year. If I'm in Aspen in February, it's probably snowboard. If I'm in Los Angeles in February, it's probably skateboard or longboard. Those are important things to identify, and it's data that's already available to you that you should be using through the search experience. Number two, lean on automation. So in the first one, I talked about aligning yourself toward the business. That's going to take time. That's going to be meeting with the marketing folks, understanding what's coming up in marketing, how you can make impacts through merchandising through that process. That's going to take more of your time, but it will be more strategic time, and you'll start to make some big impacts there, which means you've got to find some things that you can lean on through automation. So a big piece of that is how in this model can we start to learn from what our consumers are doing, what we're doing, the positive behaviors in search, and actually start to change things automatically. So a quick example is really this marriage between what we call the folksonomy and the taxonomy. Folksonomy, what is it your consumers are calling the products that they engage and buy? What are they calling the content, the videos that they're engaging with and watching and consuming? So first off, we want to understand that. So being able to capture things across the search engines. What are people using as terms as they come into your site experience? More importantly, when they're in the site experience, what are they doing during that process? What are they typing into your search box? What are they doing around other items? Once we capture that, we then want to start to understand your taxonomy. What is it you're calling the products or the content that you're delivering to your consumers? We capture that in many different ways. It could be through the meta tags. It could be through your navigation alt tag, because remember, as marketers, we put these alt tags that describe destinations throughout the site experience. So it's a perfect way to start to bring these together. Once you do that, what's happening dynamically and automatically throughout the entire day is these relationships are being formed in the back end, words that describe the assets that you have on the site. So quickly you're able to make connections between words, products, words and videos, words and assets and content, and even relationships across products. The nice thing is that folksonomy includes those misspelled words, the regional dialect, the abbreviations. Number three, think incremental and measure. So a lot of the conversations today are around my search is broken, I'm looking for a new search vendor. That may be prohibitive based on how much, how long it would take to do that process. In many instances, there's things you can do today that are incremental, layering technology on what you have today as you build out your strategy long term. So no need to think about ripping and replacing. It's really around how do we make progress today. And more importantly, with these technologies, you have the ability to leverage any good work you've done so far. So if you've done a lot of administration, a lot of work around there, technologies can actually leverage that and actually make it better, so you're not losing any of that investment and effort you've done so far. Also, data. In addition to what you're doing around KPIs, search abandonment, search conversion, all that good stuff, look at technologies that allow you to actually take action. So above and beyond of the automated view of what's happening, what is reports that are driving search that allow me to take action to do things differently? So we call this kind of the gap report, this first one, which is what are my visitors searching for but not finding? So this is a bit different than a search abandonment report. This gives you an idea of here's key topics and terms that have a low search conversion, but actually we believe you have information, either product, content, that will support those terms moving forward. It also gives you an idea of other topical things that are happening on the website that may not be in context of the entire site, but may actually start to expose you to new business opportunities. So we've seen customers before that have looked at this report, used it, and decided to carry new product lines because there's actually been an audience of a good size coming in, looking and trying to engage with things that they didn't have. The other side of this report is what are they finding but not engaging. This is a gap really in terms of the abandonment report, which is they've actually searched, they've clicked on something, they've gone through the navigation experience, but they've dropped out. The question is, did they engage with things after that? Because what you might find in this model is that, yes, you took them to the right area of the site, but the content or the product was not engaging. Maybe it's stale, maybe it's old. And so this allows you also to have focus and take action to try to make things changing. And things that are outside of just the search purview, actually things that impact the business, impact navigation, working with marketing and content creation. So making sure we're able to find some good things to measure that are actionable, and also think incremental. So now that we've kind of set the stage with these 3 tips, let's talk a little bit about some case studies. So the first one is really around personalized search, as we kind of opened up with, which is we know that there's information around every consumer that's available to us. In this use case, we've got consumers, 3 different consumers from different parts of the world, 3 different demographic footprints, all looking to go to New York City. Instead of showing them, hey, here's New York City and the most popular things we're seeing, what we do know is that there may be some segmentation available to us based on each of these consumers. We know that business travelers going to New York City have a different preference than leisure travelers, than families that are coming across. And you can actually discern this all from the information that they're providing to you. How long are they staying? Is it during the week? Is it through the weekend? How many people are in their party? Those are all things that you can leverage to create a catered and personal experience through search for every one of these consumers. Another example for thematic queries. In this instance, obviously, we have seat as the noun. We carry seats in this website, but we're now modifying that with soft, right? And so traditionally what you'll see is pattern matching. Your crawl the site will look at index, we'll look at product description. We may have some synonyms created, but now we're looking at soft seat. And you can see here that we're picking up things that have soft in the description and others. But when we actually see and say, how are consumers converting and engaging using soft seat, we see a different set of results. Still results that were probably in the search result set, but we're going up to the very top. Another example of thematic queries is bin. Bin is one of those ambiguous ones which can mean lots of different things, and we know that because of the way the user's behavior has been in using that term and engaging with different products that are outside the subset of containers and even outside of things that are described as bins. So in this instance, we're looking for a large bin. Before, you'll see what shows up. We get things that have bin in the title and the explanation. Okay. Now let's see what the community is doing. So we have that modifier of large bin, and they've actually identified a different set of products in this example that are more aligned with what they're looking for. We know this because they've actually called it large bin, either coming in from www search, using your search box, engaging and buying these items. So now what we know is next time a consumer comes in and searches for large bin, we should change the experience to be more reflective of this. Let's stay on the bin term and add another modifier, which is storage. So you can see the natural results from the search engine do change a bit. We're now included storage, so now we're looking at some other containers and things like that. But again, what we know from a storage bin point of view is that the consumers are actually meaning these products. So similar to large bin, so we know that there's some similarity between storage and large as a modifier, but we see a different subset of products. And then we see some also introduction of a new set of products from our previous results. Misspelled words happens every day. So this is a real challenge, and this is where a lot of time could be spent going through this and understanding which ones we do, how you create synonyms. What we say is, don't worry about that. We should have a system that is automatically able to identify these and create those relationships. So before, we have a customer searching for Australia, no results set obviously found. But what we do know through the technology is this consumers have actually found their way through all the information of Australia and connected this term to real content on the website to be able to engage and convert into. Another example of misspelled words is t-shirt. In this one, what we see again is kind of a big mix of different products, usually things that are in the description. But you can see not really anything close to t-shirt. Maybe the polo shirt is a little close, but nothing matching there, all the way to the real set of results, right, which is we've had consumers actually make this. And the interesting thing is we're starting to see a tremendous increase in misspelled words, mainly due to the use of mobile, people typing fat thumbs on a little keyboard and making mistakes. So we're seeing a lot more misspelled words coming through the system, which is perfect for an automated technology to pick that up, build the synonym matching, and actually show the right products for the consumers. You will drive yourself crazy trying to do this in an administration-managed fashion. Symptom queries, where I'm talking about broken items, or I need a fix, or I need this. A little tougher to understand, but the reality is you have people looking and searching and engaging and finding information. Not a surprise when we actually say the term broken remote, because you may not have that in your content as a term itself, but we are able to actually find information based on how the consumers are engaging through the support arena. So again, understanding context, broken remote is more of a support and call center context rather than a product context. We move into the content realm of the result set. So walked you through some examples, gave you some good key tips in terms of really trying to set the platform and what you should be thinking about as you go through and solve these. And wrapping up, want to make sure from an automated fashion, results determined by user behavior. The best way to know you're doing the right thing is when somebody actually has a positive experience. We can learn from that. We should be able to see search results that change based on these positive experiences and measure and measure and measure through KPIs. The real-time nature and the automatic nature of real-time tuning is extremely impactful. As I mentioned, as misspelled words continue to go, the synonym matching that has to happen in the system has to be real-time. We have to identify who that user is in real time. It's going to save you time and resources and allow you to focus on more strategic areas of the business related to search. It's everything. It's got to be universal. So it not only has to be good at product, but it also has to be good at media and understanding what videos go with product all the way to content that supports product. That's a full circle view in many of the organizations we work with, which is semantically, is this term more related to support and content, or is it more product oriented? Because we've got a whole lot of stuff. And if I'm only showing product all the time, when I actually have support, you're creating a poor experience for your users. There are simple steps you can take to move forward. Enhancement and augmentation of your existing platform is one of those simple steps. There's no need to think about ripping and replacing. There's lots of great technologies out there. Commoditization of search as a whole is very deep. Lots of technologies like solar are being used by many of the big companies out there in the enterprise world. The challenge with solar is that it doesn't take in the behavioral characteristics, but it does a great job in creating your inventory and matching the statistic analysis related to that. So if you're interested in hearing more, we'd love to talk to you more about those use cases. We'd love to talk to you about what you're doing and how we can support that. Feel free to contact us at sales@baynote.com. For everybody that's joined today, and I think we have a good amount of people on the site today, if you're interested in having a free deep dive and a search review with us, just email me right after the webinar. We'll get you scheduled and connected with somebody on the team that can walk you through a deeper analysis of what we've done here, but some of those other aspects and what it means to your site, and give you a very clear recipe of what you can be doing in short term to make some big impacts and strides around search. And lastly, I do want to thank the Baymard Institute. Great information. Encourage everybody to go visit that site. We'll probably send that out as a link to everybody afterwards as well. Really good information. The challenge with it is that they really set the challenge out there, but how do you solve it? It's very difficult. So we got a couple minutes left. Thought we'd open it up for any questions anybody has related to this, and happy to answer those for you. All right, it looks like we do have a couple questions in. The first one is really what technologies does Baynote integrate with? So I'll give you a couple examples. What we're seeing predominantly in the market right now is a move from kind of paid search, what I would call FAST, Mercado, and Deca, and Google, which we all do integrate with, in working with solar. So solar also is a big integration point for us from a technology point of view. So we've got many examples even outside of there, like Atom Search and others, but the way that we integrate is through a REST-based model. So in that point of view, it makes it a lot easier for us to work with many technologies, even those that we haven't seen before. But we do work with many of the big ones. Another question is around seasonality and the ability to dynamically shift on seasonality. That is a really good one, because if you think about seasonality, and even that example of the snowboard versus skateboard, season changes across the spectrum of geography. So important to not only have the geography listener in place to be able to respond to that, but also we're able to pick up on the trends. So as we start to see the trends move, either because you've launched your spring line and people have started to gravitate towards it, we're able to actually start to artificially move those products to the very top as we engage with the consumer to move forward. So seasonality actually falls into kind of the trending analysis that the science and the algorithm of the technology really works with. One of the questions too was another add-on to integration, which is, can we integrate with homegrown search engines? And usually what we see from a homegrown search engine is there is some technology in the background that's creating a result set. That result set is usually being pushed in HTML or XML. That is a perfect integration point for us. So yes, in most homegrown systems, it's a fairly easy integration for us to work with them. In most cases, it actually is a great relationship because there's been a tremendous amount of investment and work in those homegrown systems to get them to the point today. How long does it take to implement? So implementation cycle. So implementation cycle is actually very straightforward. It's broken down into 3 parts. First is data collection, understanding what we have in category information, so that can come in through catalog feeds, product feeds, or just observing the site itself. 2 is building that knowledge model based on the consumer's behavioral patterns and what they're doing. And lastly is deploying the technology. Most implementations were up and running within 21 days. That includes the data portion all the way to launching. So there are a couple things that have impact in that, which is how big is your site volume, and also what is the scope of that first integration. So, but usually for most customers, we are up and running and seeing results within 21 days. Any other questions?
Can auto-tuning be done by simply adding some code to all pages?
Okay. So there was a question around auto-tuning. May not answer this one completely the way you like, but feel free to ask a follow-up. So auto-tuning, we kind of pull back into what we call our merchandising interface. So you have the ability from a merchandising point of view to do things like pinning, so you can align yourself to marketing activities. You can do enhancements as into matching, so you can actually start to create things yourself. And then the other aspect around auto-tuning is depending on paths that consumers coming into the search experience, we can actually also change search experiences there. So if we have a consumer coming in from an ad, a consumer coming in from a companion site, we can actually change experiences on the search page itself. Great. Again, thank you for everybody joining us today. If you have any follow-up questions, happy to follow up with you guys. You have my email, you have the team's email, and we look forward to talking with you more about search and making a big impact. Always think it's not about search, less search. We want people searching, we want them to discover, and we want them to convert. So thanks again for everybody's time today, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.